I'm going to keep speaking, Phil. That's what I do, mate. Everybody's looking forward to another 40-minute sermon, mate. I can see people on the edge of their seat. Oh, dearie me. What an exciting time, hey? I know that you're going to love to get to know both Cam and Vanessa. I'm really excited in so many ways by how we see God moving amongst us. In the midst of kind of the crisis of society, to see God moving is wonderful. These times when these things happen cause us as leaderships and communities in our own personal lives, in our family and neighbourhood organisations to kind of always feel like we're hitting pause to stop and reflect to see where are we going. And when you do, like, think about hiring a new pastor or something like that, it usually comes out of this time of reflection and consideration about where are things at. Are we doing what we're meant to be doing? There's times where we spend sitting around, sometimes around a room or around a lounge or something like that, considering where's the needs, where's the heart. There are times when we scrape our knees on the floor in prayer, seeking God, saying, where would you be asking us to lead to? Where would you be asking to guide us into? Fundamentally, I want to say it all starts with why. Simon Sinek, the author, made a bucket load of money with his famous book, It Starts With Why. You might have read it. But really, when you think about it, the book sales and the dollars should have gone to all the children of the world. They're the ones who always start with why, aren't they? Why do I have to eat veggies? Why do I have to wear this clothing? Why is the sun yellow? Why is the sky blue? Why is the question asked by children, but it's also the question which is asked by philosophers. The great questions. Why are we here? Why? Why? It's the question that all of us ask in many aspects of life. Why am I doing this job? Why am I still in a relationship with this person? Why do I get out of bed on a cold morning? Why is the church here? What's the reason for its existence? Why? Why is the great question. And I believe on a couple of occasions, Jesus gives the most simple and succinct answers about the reason why. They are kind of like the child type answer in the sense that they are profound in their simplicity. In Matthew 22, it says the Pharisees had silenced the Sadducees. They've been having these religious arguments. One of them, an expert in religious law, tried to trap Jesus with a question. What's the most important commandment? It's kind of one of these fundamental questions. Here's Jesus' response. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and your mind. The first and greatest commandment. A second is equally important. Love your neighbour as yourself. Aren't they the answer to why? Why is the church exists? To love God and to love others in kind of summary, very simple terms, aren't they? And later on, when Jesus is commissioning people to, in a sense, be a part of the church, to live as part of the church, in Matthew 28, he says these words. It's where our mission statement comes from. He says, what should you do? Make disciples, make followers of all nations. We express it here in that very simple expression, don't we? What are we all about? Why do we exist? To make followers of Jesus. Why? To make followers of Jesus. That's the lens, the glasses through, in a sense, we examine every decision. Everything that we're trying to do is look through that lens. I mean, what does it mean to be a follower of Jesus? We ask ourselves that question. I mean, if we're trying to do that, how would we know if we've actually done it? Let me ask you this question. Would you know if you are more of a follower of Jesus today than you were last week, than you were a year ago? Do you know if the person beside you is a follower of Jesus? The beside you in your home, beside you on the train, beside you in another cubicle at work, sharing tools on a job site? What does it look like to be a follower of Jesus? Well, we kind of express it in these very four simple terms, don't we? And I hope that if I was to ask you this, you'd be able to put your hand up for get him, wouldn't you? Yes, you're all nodding your head frantically at me if you're part of this community. We would say that being a follower of Jesus involves worship. This in many ways is kind of the love God with all your heart. Worship God in all of life. So we say worship, don't we? We talk about what it is to connect with one another in these meaningful Jesus-centered relationships. That's to love others, isn't it? Yes, it is, isn't it? Yes, I'm pleased. Matthew, can you help me out here, my friend? Matt was speaking before, and I don't know if you picked this up online, but he made a comment, and I'm one of these people who needs to talk, right? And he made a comment, and I said something, and I realised I meant to say it to the person beside me, but I think people about 10 metres away from me heard it. So if you feel like that when I'm asking a question, please, that's really exciting for me to know that you're actually there with me, okay? So we talk about worshipping God with all of our heart. We talk about connecting with one another in these deep, these meaningful, these genuine, Jesus-centered relationships. We talk about being transformed because as we follow Jesus, we become more like Jesus, don't we? To know what it is to be more loving, more compassionate, more generous, more kind. We're transformed. And we're talking about that we share. Jesus' love impacts us, and we want to share that love with others. We share it with our words, we share it with our hands, with our actions. That for us is what it means fundamentally to be a follower of Jesus. It encapsulates what it means. You know, sometimes when we hear those phrases, worship, connect, transform, and share, it can be easy to think that they're kind of like ideas doing their own things. It's kind of a little bit of a mistake. I want you to think about, can I ask you this question? What's the great sandwiches in life? I know this has got nothing to do with the previous part of the conversation. What's the great sandwiches that you enjoy? One of the most simple but great sandwiches is a BLT. A BLT, a bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich. What makes the BLT great? Well, here's what one person wrote about their BLT experience. Said that first bite was a revelation in this particular trifecta of flavours and textures that would forever change the way I thought about stuff between sliced bread. I've got to say that sometimes there are some people, I wonder what world they inhabit. They're kind of in as a part of a food writer or something like that, but it gets better. It gets better. It was like hearing Bohemian Rhapsody for the first time. The lettuce and tomato shot through the richness of the salty bacon, and the textures ping-ponged around from soft to cool, crisp to back again. The pleasure of each bite thickened as I found pockets of bread that had been slathered with a little more mayo. What a simple, completely life-altering combination of flavours. Frankly, it's a little bit over the top. That person's been doing English lit, but like more at university. They've probably got an arts degree, don't they? The truth is, a BLT is a very simple sandwich. But for it to work, it needs all four elements, doesn't it? If something's missing, it's not quite right. That's the same with worship, connect, transform, and share. They need to be all there as part of a healthy follower of Jesus. If one of them is missing, it's like the four-legged chair without something missing. Now, I got to tell you, I hunted around on the internet for a while to find a four-legged chair with just three legs. You look at that picture, it's only got two, all right? But please understand, if one of them's missing, it's going to topple over because it needs all four to function. Worship, connect, transform, and share are four cogs working together to be a follower of Jesus. And Cam has an incredibly important role to lead the Connect ministries of CHBC in a time when people are more disconnected than ever before, where relationships are needed, aren't they? To care, to support, to encourage one another, to help each other grow as followers of Jesus. I think you and I both understand more than ever how vital they are, don't we? I don't know anybody who feels like they are more connected now than they were 2 years ago, 3 years ago. What an opportunity and what a need. You know, in football matches, they say the most difficult for a coach is the 5 minutes of the interview post-match with journalists. I'm so tempted to make a comment about the football here, but I won't. It's a time when they're on an emotional edge, when they're asked questions which in many ways are intended to put them into difficult positions so they'll say something which will make a headline. In the USA, there's a famous football coach by the name of Bill Belichick. He's famous almost for not saying anything, like a politician with a perfect non-answer. I can imagine for coaches after a loss, all these emotions going on, there's a temptation. There's an opportunity to put blame for the loss on a myriad of things. We lost because this person couldn't mark the ball. We lost because this one couldn't tackle. This umpire made a bad decision. You know how it is when something goes wrong. It's easy to point the finger at someone else, to say, why, look at them. That's what the cause of it is. Well, after a devastating loss, the question was asked of Belichick. Why did you lose? Code, who do you want to put the blame on? Belichick's answer was simple, yet so profound. He said this, I have to do a better job of coaching. I have to do a better job of coaching. Not looking at someone else, not pointing fingers. I have to do a better job. When I hear that, it says to me these words. It starts with me. It starts with me. And today, as we celebrate the appointment of a new pastor, as we consider our mission, as we renew our purpose, as we charge Cam, I'm pointing my finger at you, my friend, as we charge Cam to fulfill his calling to make followers of Jesus, I want to remind myself not to look across the room and point. I want to remind myself not to point to someone who, well, you're paid for that job. You need to do it. I want to remind myself to say it starts with me. It starts with me. I need to be growing as a follower of Jesus. I need to be worshipping God with all of my life. I need to be connecting with one another in deep Jesus-centered relationships. I need to be continually being transformed to become more like Jesus. I need to be sharing Jesus' love in actions and words. It starts with me. And Cam, today, my friend, we charge you to fill your role, to be a follower of Jesus and to make followers of Jesus. But we also say it starts with me. Let's pray together, shall we? For our God, we thank you for why you call us to be your people. Out of your love, you call us to love you and you call us to love others. You call us to worship you in all of our life, to love others in our church family, in deep relationships, to be humble enough to be transformed by your Spirit, to share that love. But God, I pray that your Spirit would put its hand on each one of our hearts, each one of our lives, to recognize it's my job. I need to be humble. I need to be loving. I need to be committed to others. It starts with me. And so, Father, I pray that you would give us the strength. I pray that you would give us the mercy and the kindness. I pray that your love would so give us the grace to help make followers of Jesus.